Hey everyone, welcome to the Nerdscape. As some of you familiar with my content may know, I have been going through the Harry Potter books chapter by chapter, making analysis and connections to the broader wizarding world. I'm closing in on the Mirror of Erised chapter, and as I was doing my research and reading into everything, a thought occurred to me. Where did the mirror come from? Of course, this is not a unique or specific thought. The mirror has been a mystery since its inclusion in the Philosopher's Stone. However, I think I might have a theory, and it all spawns from a character that has no correlation to the mirror whatsoever. Peeves. Peeves is canonically as old as Hogwarts itself and was created due to raw chaotic energy that is formed when a group of underage wizards gather together. This tells us that beings can be brought into existence when an area is charged with a particular type of magic. In Peeves' case, just raw chaotic magic. Dumbledore tells us that there are many kinds of magic studied inside the Department of Mysteries. For the purposes of our discussion, the magic of love is locked by a powerful magical restriction. The idea of the magic of love is a very vague concept, and the mechanics of it are never thoroughly explained. Although we do know for a fact that it's just not a nice little ideal that Dumbledore spouts off, but rather real magic, as Lily was able to protect Harry through ancient magic that was invoked for the love of her son through her sacrifice. So that got me thinking, what would have happened if we had 100 Lily Potters all at the same exact time invoked the abstract concept of magic and love? In the same vein, in the same way that 100 magical students invoked the magic of chaos and created Peeves, would another being like maybe a Cupid kind of character come into existence? I don't see why not. However, it is possible that instead of a sentient creature being brought into existence, magical objects could theoretically be created through the same process. And there is some evidence for this in the series. The Hallows, if we subscribe to the theory that Dumbledore brings up, that they were actually magical objects created by powerful wizards, the Hallows are very weird to me. And they're very weird to me because of the line that Xenophilius gives us when he talks about the cloak. The cloak isn't just an object with a magic placed on it that gives the effect of invisibility, but rather it's a cloak that embodies the concept of invisibility itself, which we can extrapolate could, in theory, be the magic and the concept of wanting to protect somebody. And we can extrapolate that given the fact that, generally speaking, the cloak is used for that purpose, for hiding people from danger. By that same token, the Elder Wand isn't a wand that has been given magic to make it powerful, but rather its power itself. The Resurrection Stone is a little bit trickier, but if we can bring this idea to the surface, what if the stone represents the idea of longing or grief? So if we take all of that and summarize, we get one general hypothesis. When a mass group of magical people, all with the same general emotion, is collected, their collective magic can take that emotion and create an object or being that embodies that emotion. We can use this to explain other weird magical objects, for example the veil, but to get back to the mirror specifically, the mirror is an odd object due to the fact that it seems that there is no magic placed on the mirror that gives it its effect, rather its effect is the magic. Obviously, the mirror's concept would have to be desire, but for this theory to work, we have to track down when a mass group of magical people would have gathered with the emotion of desire in their heart strong enough to bring the mirror into existence. We know that the mirror was created at the very least before 1891 due to the fact that we have writings from our author saying that it was kept in the room of requirement from that point until Dumbledore discovers it and modifies it and allows the Philosopher's Stone to be placed inside. The writing our author gives us says that it's possible that a professor could have found it in their travel and brought it back to Hogwarts. But for our theory to work, that still doesn't explain how the mirror was created. It's just how it got to Hogwarts. So I offer this idea. What if the Mirror of Erised was created by the Room of Requirement itself? And I know what you're thinking. I just said earlier that these objects were created by a mass group of wizards with a common emotion in their magic gathering together. But think about what the Room of Requirement really is. The room gives its user whatever they require in that moment, or, put another way, the room gives its user what they desire. We know the room has a kind of memory system since the Room of Hidden Things is the same room used over and over again and not a new room each time. The room is probably as old as Hogwarts itself, created by a founder. My guess probably Rowena Ravenclaw, but that's beside the point. So, what if the room cataloged the magic of desire every time someone used it for 900 years? In the 7 years that we get in the main series alone, multiple people used the room for different reasons. Dobby, Dumbledore, Filch, Fred and George, Harry, Neville, a lot of people used this room. Malfoy, a lot of people used this room. Now, amplify that 900 years. Now, we're using the concept of 900 years just because Hogwarts was founded between the 9th and 10th century, and then we know that the mirror was placed in the room of requirement in 1891 or around then. So we can say about 900 years, give or take. And then the room of requirement burst out with all that magical energy and the concept of desire, and thus the mirror is created, sitting and waiting for Dumbledore to find it. Another reason why this works on a thematic level in our story is that the Hallows and other magical objects do not dictate their usage. Rather, the user of those objects decides how these objects should be put to use. This goes back to one big theme in Harry Potter that we hear many times, in that we hear that it's our choices more than our circumstances that dictate our actions. This works for the Mirror of Erised, as Dumbledore himself says that many people have simply wasted their lives sitting in front of it. Doesn't it just make a lot of thematic sense for these objects that have been manifested due to emotion to be literal devices to show us how to control those same emotions? Dumbledore tells Harry even that he wanted to make Harry wait until he was ready for the power of the Hallows, to be mature enough to handle them. But what was he needing to be mature enough to handle? What if he needed to be able to control his need to protect his friends, his want for power, his grief over his losses? Similarly, what if Harry needed to control his desires as well in order for him to truly understand and use the magic of the mirror properly? Finally, if that is all true, it just makes a lot of sense to me that the real powerful magical object introduced in book 1, the mirror, was created by the same process as the Hallows, the magical objects introduced in book 7. After all, we open at the close. Guys, if you like this theory, let me know down in the comment section. Like and subscribe, and join me next time on The Nerdscape.